Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I know it's the end of the year. As a matter of fact, it's my children's last day of school, so it must be the last day of school for a lot of folks out there. If not this week, next week. We are recording this so that we can share this out with our other districts that couldn't make it today. So if you're listening to this, thank you for listening. And I hope that I will make this as clear as as clear as I can make it. This is a very convoluted subject, but I am going to make this as clear as possible. We do have several different written pieces of documentation that we will make available after today's meeting. This report will be made available to all superintendents as of Monday morning. So on Monday morning, this report will be available to all superintendents. Superintendents can then give district access, and it will be district access. So it's not going to be by site, but district access to anyone they choose to. This is a program that is run by DHS, not OSTE. The only thing we are doing is giving DHS the names and addresses of students that that meet certain requirements that we have defined out of the student information systems or the WAVE that you guys send us the data. So to get started, here's what we're going to talk about today. So what is the purpose of the report? How to get to the report? What's in the report? What's the logic behind the report? And how will OSDE administer a report? And then I'm going to demo it for you. I'm going to show you what it looks like, what it feels like, and the things you need to know about that report. Okay. Please. Okay. So I'm hearing from people that they can barely hear me, so I'm going to try to speak a little louder. So what is the purpose of the report? Oh, so anyway, next slide. I apologize. So what is the purpose of the report? So the Food and Nutrition Services and the USDA came up with a PEBT program. So that's the pandemic EBT program. It's a supplement to SNAP. And if I'm saying any of this wrong, Jennifer, please jump in and correct me. But it's basically to provide financial support for students and parents that have missed on-site meals. So any students that have missed on-site meals, we are trying to provide a benefit of $6.82 per day per student for missed on-site meals. So to alleviate some of the confusion before we get any further, it doesn't matter if you had some take-home meals that they could come pick up. It doesn't matter if you delivered the food directly to their house. None of that matters. If they missed on-site meals, they did not receive a meal within your school site, then they could potentially qualify for PEBT benefits. So how do you get to this report? You're going to go log into the SSO. You're going to find this application that's over here on the right here. It says PEBT report. And instead of state user right here, it's going to say district user. I took a picture of mine, but it'll say district user, and you'll just click that and it will take you directly to the report. No special things needed. However, when you do get to the report, if you are logged in to Google using your personal account, it will ask you to allow the system to link to your personal account. You can choose to do that or not. You can allow that to connect to your personal account, Google account, or your school Google account if you would like to do that. However, you do not have to. You can log out of Google, go back into single sign-on and re-click the link, and it will take you directly to your report without having you approve a link to say you can connect that to your personal or school Google account. Okay, so you have that option. If you are currently logged into Google, when you click this button, it will ask you to let your account sync with that. But you do not have to do that. You just need to log out of Google and go back and click the button again. Or you can allow it to, it's up to you. So what is in the report? These are the columns that we have in the report: STN, last name, first name, basis of admission, economic disadvantage status, grade level, entry date, exit date, free reduced price lunch status, the number of days that we have calculated as being virtual or distance learning days, whether they're eligible for PEBT benefits, that determination, and the number of days the numbers of days of eligibility for any given month. Okay. Okay. So, what is the logic behind the report for LEAs? There are two steps. There are two steps that are included here. The first one is extremely easy because we've done.
Eric, we can't hear you right now.
Yeah, I stopped talking. I got muted somehow.
All right.
But now I'm back. I stopped talking. I realized I stopped muted, so I stopped talking. So the first step of the law is to determine if an LEA is eligible. Okay, so in order for students to be eligible in any LEA, the LEA first has to become eligible. OSDE has done the work here for every LEA in our state. The requirement is, and it's a very, very relaxed requirement coming from Ed, is that you have to have at least 5 consecutive days of virtual, distance, or reduced in-person learning. Now that very last point is a very big catch-all. You have to have had some type of reduced in-person learning for 5 consecutive days. This could mean you were on an A-B schedule. This could mean that you had several students doing virtual, or maybe you had a virtual program within your district, or potentially you had just a small set of students that were doing a virtual or distance learning program of some sort. You had some sort of reduced in-person learning in any one of your sites, that would make the LEA eligible. So using the data that we have been sent, the calendar data, the attendance data, the enrollment data from the schools, we have determined at OSDE that every LEA in our state has met this requirement in some way or fashion some way, shape, or form prior to October 1. You met that requirement sometime in August or September, depending on when you started school and depending on the data that you sent us. So we have determined if that is incorrect data, then we need to go back and review some of that data. But as of now, we have determined that every LEA has met that requirement some way, shape, or form. The second requirement for LEAs to be eligible is that LEAs must normally serve meals outside, like in their cafeterias, outside of COVID-19 protocols. So the only LEAs that do not meet this requirement are statewide virtual LEAs. Statewide virtuals do not offer meals do not serve meals outside of COVID protocols normally. So those districts no students in those districts will qualify for PEBT. Not one student in a statewide virtual. Everyone else does meet this requirement. So we're going to go to the next slide. Once an LEA qualifies, then every student in their district becomes potentially eligible for PEBT, potentially eligible. So what does it take for the students to become eligible? Students must be identified within their student information system as qualifying for free or reduced price lunch. This is the first requirement. Those statuses that we recognized as a student receiving a free or reduced price lunch are free, reduced, community eligible, provision 2 and provision 3. Okay. So if the student, and so they have to have one of those statuses in order for them to continue to be potentially eligible. They're still not completely eligible yet, but this is step 1 to be eligible for a student. Now, I know, we all know that there are students that are and or parents that did not fill out a free or reduced price lunch application this year because of the free meals that USDA has approved. And I don't remember which program, so I'm not even going to try. But I know that they have approved free meals throughout all schools for this year, and it looks like for next year. So many students did not fill out a free or reduced price application. We will make sure, we need to all help you guys make sure that we get the free and reduced price lunch applications for any students that feel like, or any parents that feel like that their student would qualify for this PEBT program. Because if their free reduced price lunch status is incorrect, they will not be found eligible for this funding. Okay. Next slide. The second requirement is where this gets very, very convoluted because it breaks down into 2 categories. Okay. There are 2 different conditions to determine if a student is eligible for, and it's done on a day-to-day basis. Every single day, we look at, for every single day across every single student, we look to see if they were eligible for that day. So here's how we determine that. So we've got the case where a student was enrolled with an RV on or RV off basis of admission. Now, RV on means they were blended, meaning they're resident virtual on campus, meaning they're blended, meaning they did some type of blended program, meaning they had at least one class that they normally on a regular schedule met either virtual or distant in a virtual or distance learning environment. That is how we define blended. Or RV off, which means that all of their normal day-to-day classes were done in a virtual or distance learning environment. The other option, the other category, is where students were enrolled with any other basis of admission other than RV on or RV off, or RBD-TD or RBD. RBD-TD is resident blind deaf transport daily, meaning they are they attend the blind or Oklahoma School for the Blind or Deaf, but they are transported to that school every day, or resident blind deaf RBD, which means they live on campus at the Oklahoma State School for the Blind or School for the Deaf. Okay, so everybody other than those particular students would fall in the second category. So let's look at RV on or RV off students first. In the case where a school calendar is coded as an instructional day, a makeup day, or an early dismissal or late arrival, okay, and the student's attendance code with an absent, and we get an attendance code with an absence value of 0 or 0.5, or there's one other piece that's not on this slide. We don't receive an attendance code at all, meaning that they were present. Okay, so if we didn't receive an attendance code at all, then we assume that they were present as well. So they were counted as a virtual day for that day, or blended for that day, and they missed a meal at school. Each one of those days will be counted as a day, one day towards PEBT eligibility. So let's talk about all the other bases of admissions. Okay, the same first piece, the calendar date type code has to be an instructional day. So your calendar has to have an instructional makeup or early dismissal or late arrival code. And the attendance code for the day is DVAP, which means these are resident students or transfer students, or they attend in person every day. But today we got the DVAP code, which means they're doing a distance or virtual day and they were present. Or in some cases with some specific student information system vendors, we received a DVA code with an absence value of 0 or 0.5. In those cases, we will also accept those as days that count towards a day of eligibility for PEBT. There is another option. If you coded your calendar as a virtual day, that means this was an instructional day with an 03 other code, and we see that a student was present by either the DVAP code or you didn't send us an attendance code, which we obviously say is a present, then we would count that as another day of PEBT eligibility, meaning they were due everybody associated with that calendar was actually doing distance learning according to your calendar. So we will count that as a day of PEBT eligibility as well. So districts and sites should verify the data is correct using the report for 1 month at a time. If you do not filter by month, and I will show you how to do that, this report will become very confusing. You will not be able to verify the data. You will be so confused that it won't even be worth looking at the report. You must filter for an individual month first, verify the data, and then move to the next month. So filter for October, do October's, and then move on to November, and so on and so forth. If the data is inaccurate, please look at your free and reduced status, your enrollments, and your attendance data for that particular student in your SIS before contacting us. If you think that if you look at all that information and you believe it's accurate and it should still reflect that the student is eligible for an additional day, then please contact us. But please look there first before reaching out. We will automatically send this data to Oklahoma DHS in monthly files, and we will do this chronologically. So we will start with October and we will move through May. We have not set a date yet to do this, and we need to send all of our data to them by July 12th. We need to get all this data verified by July 12th. There was some confusion on some talking points for superintendent a couple weeks ago, and she said June 12th. It is actually July 12th. That is when the wave will roll over and you will no longer be able to send 2021 data to us. So on the 13th, we close down the wave. So on the 12th, you have until the 12th to verify and correct any of this data in your SIS. 12th of July. So I'm going to move over to the demonstration. If I can find it. Okay, so this is my single sign-on. I'm going to scroll down very slowly to PEBT. I have a lot of apps. Some of you may have all these apps, some of you may not. But I'm going to scroll down here to PEBT Report. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit. So PEBT Report. And here you will see something that says state user, or not state user, district user. Whenever as of Monday, of course, it expired. But you'll see district user there, and you will be able to log in or hit this button. When you click the button, it'll take you directly to this report. The only thing different on my report is you won't be able to edit and you won't be able to sort by district. You will be able to filter by STN. You will be able to filter by month. And like I said, it's very important for you to filter by month. You can do October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So those are the months we're going to be paying out for the PEBT benefits, October through May. So you just hit only, or you can click check the box or uncheck the box, however you want to do it. It'll refresh the data. This is live data. Obviously, you can't see any information here, but this is the live data. So you see the basis of mission here is RV off. This is here just for informational purposes. It does not affect PEBT eligibility. Economically disadvantaged does not affect PEBT eligibility. It's here for informational purposes. Grade level, the entry date and exit date. If the entry date and exit date aligns with that month, you will see it here. If it does not, it will filter it out automatically. So let's say we had, let me see if I can find a student pretty quickly. Well, if you see a student that has multiple lines here, it's mostly because they have 2 enrollments that crossed in October. So maybe August to October 15th and October 17th or 16th to, maybe today. They may still be, they may still be enrolled. So you may see 2 lines for the same students. Is because they have 2 different enrollments for that period of time. Okay. So these numbers will correlate with that enrollment. So these are the number of days that they were doing virtual or distance learning during this enrollment and during October. Okay. So you have 12 days in October that this student qualified. They were community eligible. So yes. Are they eligible for PBT? Yes. So we will send a DHS that this student, whoever that student is, will qualify for 12 days of PEBT benefit for the month of October. And in the following month, we'll look at November. So I can, pull up November. And then here you go. Here's the same information. Okay. Like I said, it's very, very, very important that you filter for the month. You can see so many students on each page, 100 per page, and you can go through the pages and verify the data per month. You can click these top headers and it will sort the column by that particular header. Okay, you can sort it by last name or STN, or if they're eligible, however you would like to see that data, they can do that. I believe you can also download it to an Excel or a CSV and do the work in Excel if you would like to. So all that being said, if there are questions, I'm going to leave these up here. I am going to go through the chat. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat so we can go through all these answers and answer these questions. But if you have questions that relate to the policy or the law that was signed or child nutrition in general, please contact the child nutrition department. If you have a problem or if you have an issue that for student that you need questions about student information systems or SIF or how the code is coming up to us, then you can call our office. But again, please make sure that the information is in your student information system correctly first. Okay, so we got some chat here. I'm going to scroll down to see which ones haven't gotten answered. Can one of my staff, Aaron or Lakeisha, help me out?
Yep. I've got a few questions. The PowerPoint, we have a flow chart, and this recording that Eric has mentioned that it is being recorded. All that will be posted to our website, student information under documents and guides, and it'll also be sent out, I'm sure, between offices, between us and child nutrition. Eric, there's a question. What about virtual open and emergency transfers? We were told to use OT and emergency transfer with the 5th option instead of RV on or RV off.
So the answer to that question is, if they were doing virtual, we need to look at that and make sure that they were coded as virtual students. I don't, for emergency transfers and for open transfers and for, what was the other one?
It was just open transfers.
Oh,
and
open virtual. Those should be virtual students. Not sure who told you, Margaret, but I'll get with state aid offline and make sure that we're giving you the right information before. I don't want to quite do that. I want to make sure that I have the right information. So give me some time. I'll get you that answer. So
Can you remind everyone when this application will be available on single sign-on?
sure, we're going to open this up to superintendents on Monday morning. So before most of you get to work, because the person that's going to open it up for me on Monday morning is going to be doing it around 5:30 or 6 in the morning. So some of you will already be at work, some of you won't. I'm hoping that a lot of you are still getting ready for work at that time in the morning, but either way, it'll be Monday morning. Your superintendent will then have to give you access to the PEBT app if you need access to it. The October 1 date. So if you're checking every month, but we only start paying this particular PEBT benefit as of October 1. So we're not looking at October 1 data. We're looking at data across the entire year. However, we start the payment process starts on October 1. So October 1 through, well, honestly, June 30th. The reason why we brought child nutrition folks together with student information system folks, with accreditations people and principals and superintendents is because this does affect a lot of different people and a lot of different areas in a school district. So there's in a lot of different districts, there's a lot of moving parts here. So it would affect many different places. So we wanted to make sure everybody got the same information at the same time. Any other questions you're seeing that are different than those? If you find an error in the data, you need to go into your student information system and ensure that the data is sent to us correctly so that the data will automatically correct itself. So anytime you make a change in your student information system, it could make a change to the eligibility for PEBT. Parents can turn in applications until June 30th for free and reduced lunch for school year 2020-2021. They may not turn in free and reduced applications for 2021-2022 until July 1. This is only for students who are free, reduced, or for community eligible sites, all the students that are in community eligible site, and all the students that are in provision 2 or provision 3 site.
And there is a question about what PEBT stands for, and it's Pandemic Electronic Benefits Transfers, what that stands for.
There's no need to print anything off, send anything to me. Once you have verified the information is accurate and correct, You're done. There's no more. You don't have to do anything else. And if you get a phone call from a parent asking why a certain student didn't get a card, this is a great tool to look up and see why they didn't get a card for a particular month. And you can look in this tool, and if it's incorrect or should be different, you can go back to your student information system and correct that data. But once July 12th happens, there's not a way to change the data. So until July 12th, we can change whatever we want. But after July 12th, there's no more changes. I can't change it anymore. So if a student hasn't been identified as qualifying for PEBT by July 12th for this previous year, there's not a lot we can do to change that. Jennifer, we've got some questions about applications and retroactivity and all that stuff. Can you address some of that for free and reduced lunch? Someone, I don't know if she can unmute herself. I know she's here.
Okay, now I'm here. I was muted when you muted everyone else. I was muted too, so. Which question was it, Eric? There's a couple, but you've answered some of them, so.
Yeah, we have some questions about retroactivity. If a parent fills out an application now, it's not retroactive for the beginning of the year, or is it?
No, if they fill one, if they find out about PEBT and they want to fill one out for this current school year that is almost over, they can fill one out still for this school year, and it can be, according to USDA, they can be made retroactive for PEBT benefits if that application says they're free or reduced, but they have to complete it. And those applications, if they come in to fill one out now, do not carry over to next year. And someone said something about not getting applications for next school year. We're still encouraging you to do that, even though you'll serve everyone free with the guidance that was issued back in April. It's still encouraged because that is tied to so many other funding, for so much other funding for your school district.
Parents will receive the funding through DHS. Like I said, we're going to send these files essentially over to DHS, and they will use this information and the information that they already have to send essentially SNAP cards. They're PEBT cards, but they're SNAP cards to these parents, or to the parents of the students who qualify. They don't have, no, for CEP schools, no. If you are sending community eligible as students, for each student, as their free and reduced status, you don't have to send me free. You can send me community eligible. That is just as okay as free. It's the same in our book. And for this purpose, free and community eligible are exactly the same for this particular thing. So if you've already coded them all as community eligible, there's no need to go and change all that. It's fine. You leave it just the way it is. Like I said, if they're free, reduced, community eligible for Provision 2 or Provision 3, each student is sent in the student information system. Every student is sent a free and reduced status, and there's only 7 of them options. You've got free, reduced, community eligible, Provision 2, Provision 3, none, and NA. None means that they're paying for a meal, and so does NA. Or NA means they're not receiving a meal. They're not even offered a meal. So I might have got those backwards, but those are the only 2 that don't qualify. So if you have any other free and reduced status, the student will qualify. There's no certification for this report. It is just whatever you're sending us. We're just reflecting back to you the interpreted data, the way that DHS needs it. We're just interpreting the data you sent us, and you don't have to certify it. If it's wrong, just correct it. And you have until July 12th to do that.
There was a question, Eric, about the timing. If a school district makes a change in their student information system, how long will it take to see the changes reflected on this report?
Okay, so we are connected almost directly. This report is almost correctly connected directly to you. There is going to be some time delay, and we do check for ownership issues before we send that data over to, before that data gets sent over to Google. It won't be an overnight thing. It's going to be a very, very quick thing. Within a few hours, you should see a change of your change. So there's no need to send anything to us. No need to send anything to us. You're not sending anything. You can still collect applications after you leave school. Matter of fact, if the parent wants to submit an application, you have to accept it after school's out. If you roll over and you are no longer, the minute you roll over your student information system, and when I say roll over, I mean you can no longer send me 2020, 2021 data, you have locked yourself out of this report. You can no longer change data in this report. So do not do that until you're sure that this report is as accurate as you're going to get it. Remember, a lot of this data is in the ASR. Calendar data is in the ASR, attendance data is in the ASR, enrollment data is in the ASR. So if you're looking at all that through the ASR, you should be well on your way to be having this as accurate as you can get it. So I'm not trying to push the ASR, but remember that's going to be pretty important too. And it's kind of these two things kind of going hand in hand. Yes, if you need to change the student's status before July 12th, you can do that. Change it in your student information system. Within a couple hours, you'll see the change in the PEBT report. Yes, if you don't receive an application until June 29th, they will receive a benefit going back all the way into from eligibility date. Do not take applications for 21-22 until July 1. You will need to do that next year. Just don't do that until July 1. Man, there's a lot of questions. I'm also going to save the chat here, and we'll develop some FAQs and put them out there, but just having this guidance also will help greatly in a way you can print and actually read through and take some time with. I'm going to say the thing about the applications one more time. There's a lot of questions I hear about the free and reduced applications. Parents are eligible, according to USDA, parents can still fill out all the way until June 30th a new free and reduced application. They can backdate the eligibility all the way back as far as they want, as far as back as October for that application for the 2020-2021 school year. They can do that until June 30th. And we have to accept it. And we must use that eligibility to determine their PEBT eligibility. They can do that. They cannot use any free and reduced application for this 2021-22 school year to qualify for PEBT until July 1. And if the PEBT program continues past July 1, which we do not have a full answer on yet. The parents of the students will receive a debit card in the mail. They will not be deposited into an account. From my understanding, they will get a debit card in the mail that is used very much like a SNAP card. Okay, I'm gonna cut this off for now. This is, I mean, there's just many questions. I'm gonna have to go through and answer some of these and put out a FAQ. It's just not going to be, I see a lot of questions around applications and a lot of questions around statuses. So let me write this FAQ up and it'll be out as soon as I can get it all put together. But again, this report will open up on Monday for all. Thank you guys for being here. I hope this is not as confusing as it was for me, but I know it will be. We're here to help. Answer as many questions as we can. We know this is late in the year. I've been preaching this for the last 4 months. So do the best you can, and we will be here to help as much as we can. So if there are any other questions, comments, please wait for the FAQ. This has been a great weekly wave. There is not, we will have another one next week, of course, and you guys have a great and wonderful day.